Hey guys, and welcome to Antimatter Chemistry Progression Log of 14. Whatever it is, it's the last one. We're done. As you guys can see here, we have all of the singularities. We have a stack of each. So we're ready to actually get ready with the final crafts, which would involve making the creative storage drive and then partitioning that, and then we'll be making the rest of the various creative gears, pieces of equipment and stuff, as the goal was all of these things. We can go ahead and take a look at the quest. We want all of this. Sword of the Cosmos is just all neutronium and antimatter and stuff. There's nothing particularly interesting in these things beyond the antimatter itself, which once we have the catalysts, we're already prepared for. Some of these other ones are also not particularly interesting in of themselves. Basically, it's just the antimatter ingot. As for the power cells, we probably can't make that. That's in few. Oh, actually, we can. Um, the armor is also similarly as well, just neutronium, antimatter, and the catalysts. So I'm curious if this has a special bow. Oh, nope, just regular wool. Cool. So I guess we'll go ahead and get started with just the, the infinity crafts. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Now we're gonna need some crystal matrix ingots. We're gonna need some neutronium ingots. We're also gonna need the 64K storage. We should be able to make these no problem. And we're gonna go ahead and use this to make antimatter ingots. We only need 4 of these. And now we can make uh, creative ME storage drive. We're gonna need a cell workbench. We can partition this for antimatter catalyst, antimatter ingots, and I guess we'll give it neutronium ingots and crystal matrix ingots just so I don't have to keep crafting those. We'll come back and drop this into our drives, and we'll be ready to get the rest of this stuff on the roll. Nice, 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 nice. Oh yeah, it's all coming together. The work of a few hundred hours, not several, I guess, a couple hundred hours. Time played, 381 in total, so almost 100 hours more than the one before. We're gonna need a bunch of this stuff, and then a bunch of this stuff, and some neutronium, and some of this. So let's go ahead and start this. Uh, Here. Oh, pure antimatter block. Okay, we'll get that in the next one. Um, Boots. And then the infinity chest plate. Oh, we're gonna need one of these. Oh man, I'm so glad. It's finally here. Finally here. And then we already got the boots, so now it's time for the pants. Oh, I'm gonna need more crystal matrix and get blocks. Here, we'll just make a stack of these ones. There we go. And then now we make the pants. And there we go, we have all of the armor. And look at that, we got the wings. All right, we're not quite done yet though. We still have the rest of the equipment to make. Is there armor stands in this version of Minecraft? I legitimately, oh, there are, good. Oh, right, they added this with 1.9, didn't they? Go ahead and we'll drop our old armor over here. I can't believe I used the Tinker set for this long. Normally, the last run I didn't. I actually switched to the glitch armor eventually, but I was using that set the whole time. Next we have, let's see, Rita. We're gonna want the Sword of the Cosmos. We're gonna need a Longbow of the Heavens, which means we're gonna need some wool blocks, which we have, not a problem. Uh, the World Breaker, the Planet Eater, Nature's Ruin, and Hoe of Green Earth. And that is all of the various gear items that will, it's all of them. Look at that sword, it looks so cool. Never actually had any of the Infinity tools before, especially the sword. I've never made any of them before. I've made the armor before, the last time I played AMC. So, all right, and then now we have the creative power cell we're gonna want to make. So first we're gonna need to make some of these. Go. Creative power cell, which requires uh prismarine shards, which we can do. We're gonna need machine frames. Grab that. I believe it was, how many do we need? Oh, well, how many? Let's see. Creative, we needed 5. And there we go. We got the creative power cell. What else we would need? Then the last one will be the creative drum, which will require some demonically infused ingots, and I believe we're actually going to have to microcraft some of those demon metal ingots. Actually, no, I don't. I don't have to microcraft them. I can just go over here and plonk in demon metal ingots. We can come back over here. And we're about ready to be done. Just gonna have to finish crafting these bad boys. Boom, done. There we go. We are officially finished with antimatter chemistry. We have completed all of them by the made storage drive, all of the gear, like the armor, the tools and weapons, and then the 3 creative items. So we're done. Obviously, I didn't complete the quests in order because I just kind of ignored the quests. I'm not gonna lie. But we're done. We're finally done, and it took us a grand total of, that's deaths per hour. Time played of 15 days, 21 hours, 12 minutes, and 18 seconds, I guess. So I've been playing for quite a while, and I do have some good things to show you beyond the finished craft. So I guess we'll go ahead and start exploring the rest of the base. This has been a long time coming, and I'm very happy to be done. I've been really enjoying this pack, and I love this base. This base is fucking fantastic. It really is great. I'm just ready to I'm ready to go do something else. Um, I finished over here where the fishing yard area, and this took way longer than I expected it to. I expected in total for the decorative work to be about 10 to 12 hours, and in the end it was probably closer to 20 to 25. This over here was exceptionally time consuming, but I think it looks fantastic. I blended the river from the expanded farm into the larger lake from the fishing yard. I'd already blended this area. This area is like swamp marshlands into the expanded river as well, but I did it again with the expanded one. I was thinking about taking this chunk out and having just one solid lake here, but I kind of like this the way this all turned out and stuff, especially this like little river delta here. I think this river delta looks great. Man, this is interesting to fly with. I'm not used to it. It's very slidey. So this was I'm digging all of these trenches took me I don't know how many hours. Probably about 8. Probably spent about 8 hours digging these trenches on its own. Everything else wasn't nearly so bad, though I did spend another few hours setting up all the sugarcane and then cutting it all down once it grew to the proper heights. Uh, that was pretty labor intensive, I'm not gonna lie. I did want to spend more time on the under. Well, I should say that I originally planned to spend more time on the actual lake bed itself. It's pretty lackluster as it is right now. But by the time I was done with the rest of it, I just did not want to do it. I thought it was all right. I really do think it could use some more depth, but I kind of bit off a lot for this project over here, this little area, and starting to spend more time because I know that trying to texture the bottom like I did over here, while it would have been fantastic, would have added several more hours onto the project that I was already honestly pretty sick of. I really loved this project. I thought this area was really great. I'm just tired of looking at it. I spent a lot of time building the sugarcane. Like I said, it took me pretty much. I spent a full day over here. But it looks really, really nice, and I put some lily pads and stuff, and it totally was worth the effort. But I can't put any more effort into it anymore. And now we get to see what it looks like when all of the fission plants are running. The one at the very end isn't running because nothing has been attached to it. I guess I could just throw some gold blocks, and that's what I did for the fusion plants, which we'll see over there. Um, but if we come along and take a look over here, we can see all this stuff just works automatically, and it's pretty great. I love the way this looks. This is fantastic. Like I said, it did take a ton of time, but obviously it was well worth the time investment. So this was the first big project, and the second big project because there were a couple of areas that I had to touch up going into this week, and it was finishing off the fishing yard, I guess the fishing lake, and then going into the fusion area, cleaning up the reactors, and cleaning up, I guess that's the eastern side of the base where the dimensional builders were. But here is the completed fusion area, and I love it. I love the way this turned out. The forest isn't as thick as I would have liked in some places. Unfortunately, I already spent probably as much time on this, if not more, than I did in the fishing plant, the fishing area. Um, this was also exceptionally time consuming, mostly when it came down to drawing out all these moss stone shapes on the ground. Forestry wasn't taking nearly as long, but I knew that if I wanted to push that forest, make it a little bit thicker to hide the horizon completely, it would have been several more hours. And I wanted to be done today, and I didn't want to push this video out too much longer. So I don't consider it a rush job. I think it's pretty good the way it is. It's not perfect by any means, but I still think that this is by far the best base I have ever built in Minecraft. I've been playing Minecraft for over 12 years, probably around 12 years at this point, and this is by far the best base I have ever built. It is beautiful. It's amazing, and I love it to death. It's fantastic. So we'll just continue like walking around over here. The way I designed it was supposed to be as it was sort of like a clearing in the jungle, and then the jungle was supposed to be enveloping it around. So it felt like this was like a lost area inside the jungle, like my original plan. And I think it totally worked. I think it worked out pretty well. Each individual fusion area, I should say, is sort of enclosed on its own. So when you start over here and you walk into the next one, they're in their own little divided up bubbles. They're not nearly as divided as they were like if you're going through the wall or something. There's still a pretty clear path between them, but it still does make it feel like each one is isolated by a jungle that is slowly closing in on it. And I think it looks fantastic. This fusion yard wasn't used for nearly as many elements. Obviously, we still had two more pairs. So in total, we had one extra pair of fission plants and two extra pairs of fusion plants. So I was pretty on the mark for estimating how many I would need. Obviously, I was the way I was building them, it would have been weird to not build the full sets of five. So I'm really glad that we had a little bit extra than not enough. It would have been a little bit pain in the ass to cram more in. But yeah, so for coming over here, a lot of these fission plants over here, their lights aren't actually functional. By the time I was coming over here and working on them, I just was not interested in spending another 30 minutes getting all the lights and stuff functional. It really was a lot of setting up the plants was really time consuming, a lot more time consuming than it was in the first AMC run. I think they look way better. I think they look fantastic. It was just by the time I was getting around here, it was just at the point where I was really not interested in spending that extra amount of time for functionality that was effectively worthless. Obviously, it would have been nice for now that we know they're all running. Oh, actually, well, these ones aren't running. I believe these ones are running because these ones are actually active and their lights aren't on. So that would have been a nice little feature to have over here, but I did that for everything else, so I'm not really too broken up about not doing it over here. Like I said, I'm very ready to be done with this base. But man. what a fantastic looking area here. We'll fly up a little bit. It really does look great. I hats off to myself here. I'm not gonna lie. Maybe like look at this. This is great. This is fantastic. I'm glad I spent like 10 hours over here, but like you can tell. Look, the reason why it looks so good is because I spent 10 hours building all this stuff, and you can tell in like how the quality of it. I think it looks great. Uh, I, building all the sightlines and stuff and keeping the sightlines clear and figuring out ways of making the jungle feel like it's closing in on you without actually being super messy everywhere was really a challenge. And it basically just boils down to spamming vines. And that was one of the big concerns I was having going forward, especially why it doesn't look so thick over there, is because there just wasn't really enough time for a lot of these vines to grow. Over here, there is still some, and I have put some, but there could be more. As you can see, it hasn't gone all the way down to the bottom, which is where it would help thicken out some of the jungle. As what makes the jungle look really impassable and thick isn't the density of trees, it's the density of the vines. And those take time to grow, and by time, I mean a lot of time. I chunk loaded all of this stuff last night, and it still hadn't grown by today, which was really interesting. I surprised it took this it didn't grow. Maybe it's just like outside the chunk or something. It's not. Maybe I put them on late earlier today. But still, it takes a very, very long time for vines to grow. And if I had waited for them to be done, this video would be coming out tomorrow. And I just like I said, I want to be done with this today. So. But this was a great project, and I struggle to pick whether this is my favorite area in the base now or if it's the expanded farm still. I really do love the river delta system I built for the expanded farm that goes into the fishing plants. I think that area looks also fantastic. And we're gonna have a little bit of a change of pace here now. Now that I'm gonna go over to the reactor area, um, we're gonna go ahead and see what I did over here. And this wasn't really gonna work the same way. As you guys can see, it's a little bit more ominous, I guess is the word here. Um, this wasn't ever going to be nearly as an organic section of the base like the rest of it is because it's nuclear reactors. I felt like it would have been pretty weird to have trees and stuff everywhere. Obviously, in real life, nuclear reactors are pretty safe until they explode. And if they're well designed, they don't explode. But I still think it would have been a little bit weird for me to have trees all over the place, especially since I wanted them. This needed a different area of it needed a different vibe specifically. As if we look over the base, there are generally some pretty different vibes. We have the dense jungle, and then we have sort of like the marshlands. It's mostly water, and then we have like the river delta area, and then like your general forest and stuff. And then we have general forestry ringing, right? So it would have been a little bit weird for the nuclear reactors to just be also a general forest. And when I was, building it all out and stuff, I realized that I had, it looks like you get slow fall with the armor. That's neat. Um, I had extra reactor pits. Uh, basically places that I had left open where I was planning to build more nuclear reactors. I just never got around to. I was planning to build, for example, a plutonium reactor at some stage, and then I was also planning to build a larger neptunium reactor. But I just never got around to it because they're exceptionally time consuming, and I just didn't need to. Um, and the way everything worked out, it would have been really weird to just cover them up and pretend they weren't there. So instead, I capped them, and then I put these weird spikes on. And the way, if you notice, this all looks very, using a lot of darkstone here and these odd cubes. What this is actually based on is, it was an old theoretical project, I think back in the 1950s. You guys have probably heard of it. It's the, no great deeds are commemorated here. This is not a place of honor. Um, so this is based on a project by the U.S. government back in like the 1950s, um, called I guess like I mentioned before. This is not you might have heard the phrases like this is not a place of honor. No great deeds are commemorated here. There is a danger. It is in a certain place. It is a certain type. Yada yada yada. What it was a theoretical project sponsored by the U.S. government about how to make sure people would not go into sites with nuclear waste. when you could not believe, like you could not assume that they spoke the same language, had the same culture, or even understood the idea of radiation as a danger. It was supposed to be a way of building an area that was so hostile and so terrifying and ominous that everyone would by nature just stay away. And the ideas they had for that were large blocks to make it so it was exceptionally difficult or impossible to build nearby. Also strange spikes as well to make it give it a jagged and ominous look. There's also like language and various other things designed that would have been a way to try and communicate the danger without having to rely on a common language. On the project in the end ended as an experiment and nothing more. Uh, Eventually, I'm pretty sure it was decided that the best way to deal with it would be to just plant a forest over it and pretend it never existed. Because let's be real, there would be someone who would be dumb enough to go, "Hey, look at that really creepy stuff. Let's go dig a hole over there." Well, I'm sure nothing will ever bad will happen. Um, it'll be fantastic. So I did want to build this. I built this, based off that, and I think it looks sufficiently ominous. I think it looks really great. We've got gravel as well to help push the forest line back a little bit more to let the whole area sort of like sit in and be a little bit more ominous and standing out as a way of against like the rest of the greenery of the base, because the rest of the base is entirely green. And if we even take a look at the map, there's almost nothing that isn't green. Well, the pathways are pretty much covered. The only thing that isn't really covered are the small pathways uh, between all the different shacks and stuff, and then the water itself. The water makes the vast majority of the area that isn't covered by trees in some form. So an area over here that is so far away and has pushed the tree line so far back, I think gives it a really interesting area. Makes it a lot of fun. It was really interesting to build. I did have some plans to place more rings of spikes on these blocks here to give it a little bit more of an even ominous look. As if you look up some mock-up images of the actual project, I legitimately don't know the name. I'm very apologetic. Like the idea I had was been framed, and then we have some dark stone over here. It would have been to do something like this. And then we can go ahead like this, and then like this. And if we just go ahead, it would have made this whole area look really jagged and unfriendly and scary. And I think this looked really, really cool. The problem is setting this up on every single cube would have literally taken like 7 to 8 hours at least. And I was just really not interested in doing that since I was working on this last night. And I was really just like I've mentioned multiple times over the course of this video so far, is that I was just really in I really was really filled with a desire to be done. Um, I also partially had promised this video would be today, um, and I didn't really want to delay it past that. So, uh, but yeah, I think this area turned out really, really quite well. I didn't really ever get around to placing a catwalk around this reactor, and it still has a lever on it. This was the HEU-235 reactor, which is now running LU-233, because we actually burned through all of the uranium ingots sometime last night. We burned through about 1 million uranium ingots over the past week or so. Um, we're still pretty good on power because Lu-233 is a pretty cool fuel. It's cooler than the Hu-235 as well as the neptunium oxide fuel. So I can actually run Lu-233 in those reactors because they're cooler. So we still are power positive. Even we're running all the fusion and fission plants. So we'll fill up the battery in about 600,000 years, though we'll run out of fuel long, long before that. Not that will matter because the server will be going down, in a little bit, and obviously it won't matter. But I also finished, if you guys noticed, I finished putting trees along the whole pathway, and holy crap, that was tedious. I spent like probably about 6 hours on setting up, just putting trees along the path all the way around. That was a little bit mind numbing, and I kind of regret trying to set that up as I think it looked pretty good, uh, without trees on the without trees along the side, but I also think it looks really good with it. So I don't really regret it, especially since I'd already started it at some point and it was just kind of a half completed, uh, I guess, detail, and I didn't really want to rip it all out, so I had to complete it, and I think it worked out pretty well. I really like it. Looks like I forgot a little bit more of the decoration along the edge over here. Normally would have gone along the edge with bone meal and made sure there was grass and stuff, but I got sucked away by another project, it looks like. Um, so yeah, but this base is more or less, and it's completed. One of the goals I did mention at the very early on was that I wanted to get all the infinity stuff between all the various gears and the items and stuff. Um, but I also wanted to build the completed base, and I consider this base to be completed. It is the most completed base I've ever built. It is in a state where I am more than happy with calling it done. Obviously, there are imperfections here and there. This is not a perfect base by any means, but I think this is the best version of the base that I designed. I think that's in its best state it could be, given the time allotted. Obviously, if I spent another 400 hours or something here, I could perfectly curtail every jungle vine, or every vine, every lake, every river. It could be perfectly detailed, and it would be like a masterpiece to last the ages. They'd show in the Louvre or whatever. Um, I'm not interested in doing that. I'm pretty happy with what we've got right here. And I think it is truly a fantastic. I think it's a work of art. I really do. I think this was a true piece of art. I think it's love and care and great effort. I wouldn't say blood, but sweat probably um, has gone into this base, and I think it really shows in all aspects of it. I think there's lots of small details everywhere that really makes it click. I really love the intricacies of some of the terraforming and forestry that I did. You can tell that I put many, many hours into this base. And I am very, very happy with the way it came out. So that's pretty much it for antimatter chemistry, at least this time around. This is my favorite pack by far of all time. I've played it more than any other pack at this stage, though I've only quote unquote played it twice in this channel. That being said, though, I've only played 5 packs in this channel. Played Mechanical Mastery, AMC the first time. Then I played all the mods 9, and then Monty Factory, and then AMC again. So of those 5 packs I've completed, 2 of them have been Monty Factory, or 2 of them I should say have been Antimatter Chemistry. So I play Antimatter Chemistry quite a lot. It's my favorite pack by far. So we'll be back here again at some point, I'm sure, maybe in a year or two, or whenever the long-term support version is completed, which is sort of like Antimatter Chemistry 1.5. So that'll be fun to play. So we'll be back in this pack at one point, one day, but not anytime soon. That being said, though, it is almost about it. Well, it's a little bit past a year when the last time I completed AMC, so maybe I'll play this again sometime next year. We'll have to see. Probably the year after that, I'm thinking about playing GTNH at some point, and that'll be the work of a lifetime, more or less. As for what comes next, well, Ocean Block 2 will be the pack I play next. I'll be playing that with a few friends. I have some cool ideas for some bases for a base I want to build. How that works out in the end, I don't know. Ocean Block 2 will be a little bit of a different, I should say, different from what I normally play. As what I've looked at it, it's less of just a straight automation pack, like Antimatter Chemistry, for instance, and more of something closer to maybe ATM9, where there's a hybrid of adventure and automation. That being said, though, it's not a hybrid in the same fashion of ATM9, where it's just everything mixed together in a huge pot of mods. It's designed to be a mixture of automation and adventure. I don't really know for sure because I haven't seen any gameplay and I haven't actually played it yet, but it does have some cool mods that I want to mess with. For example, Oritech. That's a cool mod. I haven't used that before. It's a mod that's relegated entirely to the more modern versions of Minecraft, so I haven't played with it at all. So it'll be really, really fun to mess around with. Um, but I don't know when Ocean Block 2 will start. As today, a few hours ago, well, 9? Anyway, I actually launched my web serial, the thing that I've talked about the last couple of weeks. I've mentioned it here and there. Something that's been taking up my time. Well, it's live. It's open. You can read it for free if you want. It's a thing. So that's going to be something I'll be spending a lot of time with as well, especially if it turns out to be as successful as I hope, I should say. Um, if it's successful as I hope, or more successful, then obviously I'll be spending a lot more time on that, as that would be theoretically a way for me to make money, as I do have a Patreon for that. Um, so I don't know when Ocean Block 2 will happen. Probably soon. I mean, I get the Minecraft itch constantly. It's Minecraft has been my comfort game for pretty much since I started playing. So I can never go too long without playing modded Minecraft in some fashion. So I will be back in modded Minecraft probably soon. I mean, after I finished Mechanical Mastery, I think I said I was going to take a little bit of a break and then just immediately booted up AMC again, like 3 days later or something, just because I needed to play more Minecraft. Don't worry, guys, I'm not addicted. I can stop playing modded Minecraft whenever I want. Um, so yeah, we'll be back. It'll be fun. We'll have a good time. New packs, new mods, new challenges. In the meantime, I guess we're just gonna let's go ahead and do a quick, nice UI-less flyover of the base. You can take a man. I'd love this area, like especially like on the river area and stuff. Like, look how nice this is. I love the expanded farm. The expanded farm was probably one of my more favorite projects of this base. The farm was already an amazing project to begin with. I think the way it turned out to be on its first variation was amazing, and the extension only made it even better. I really enjoyed these bridges here. I knew I wanted to have some more waterways. I didn't want to break up the waterways that I already had. And so I decided to add in some short little bridges, and it worked out really well. It worked out so well that I actually built a few of these I guess canals with their own bridges and stuff, and I think these canals also look fantastic. I really love the just the aesthetic of all this area, very uh calm. Like whenever I'm in this base, I always get the feeling it's a very tropical kind of vibe. Obviously, that helps because of all the jungle trees and stuff, but I think it helps just because of all the water and stuff and how lush it is all over the place, which kind of really helped with one of the goals I had for this base in mind. As the farther we would progress along and more we would do, the more we would reclaim of this world. As obviously the world is just, blank nothingness, right? As the space would expand, it would almost terraform the world, and we'd reclaim it from the lifeless version it was before into something far more lush and something, real, Uh, and I think this base did exactly that. It did everything I wanted to do and more. We have multiple different biomes, forests with, river wetlands to actual marsh wetlands to deep jungle, to more conventional forests and stuff that have been cleared out for industrial space, but there's always a cost to it when it comes to terraforming. And I think it's fantastic. I think this is basis. It's come out really well. I hope you guys really like this base. If you guys, I plan to put up a world download for this if anyone's interested. I mentioned I would put one up for Modding Factory, but I never really got around to it, and no one ever really asked. I still have those files, so if anyone's interested about those, I can always figure out a way to pull them up. As for antimatter chemistry, I'm always this file will be a lot smaller. Modding Factory, I think, is a pretty large file. ATM9 was a massive file, so that was really difficult to put up. But for this one, if you guys want to see the world and have a chance to explore it on your own and have a, look around in more detail than you guys can get from just a YouTube video like this, well, I have a Discord. You guys can feel free to join that. And if I post a download, world download, it'll be in there. And if you guys would like it, you guys can just pop in and ask, and I'll do my best to set up as quick as I can. I do have a lot of other things on my time these days. Again, looking back towards the web serial stuff. But it shouldn't take me too long to extract the overworld file from the save and then pass that off. There's no point in me handing over the whole uh, save file. I guess we can actually, you know what we should do? We should go ahead and take a look at the other dimensions so you guys can see how badly I chewed them up. Because I chewed up the deep dark in an insane amount. I dug some absolutely massive holes using relentless like just constantly grinding forward with RF Tools builders. Ooh, now we have night vision. I haven't had night vision yet. So I was running max quarry after max quarry after max quarry after max quarry, and so there most of the under the deep dark that I have generated is actually hole rather than actual dimension. We can just keep going. This goes on for literally several thousand blocks. In some directions, it goes on for 2 to 3,000 blocks. In other directions, it's less. Um, but I did just kind of keep going. And the Nether really isn't all that much different. It's less so because I was just running miners in it for less time. But there's still lots of holes here. There's lots of holes in both dimensions, I should say. And there we go. Finally, we're done. Take a look and see how far we've gone. Here we'll drop. Let's see if I can drop a waypoint. Let's see. That is 2,400 blocks away. So as you guys can see, I'd kind of chewed up the dimensions pretty badly. That's why we had so many ingots, and why we still do, why we have almost 6 million iron ingots, for example, and why we had I think I probably burned about 1 million thorium ingots and a little over 1 million uranium ingots of both kinds, which is why we have so many of the other various isotopes as well. Like so we have nuclear craft. We have a ton of neptunium, 233 uranium, plutonium. I think we have less americium because we actually probably chewed most of that up. Yep, for more singularities because it's all automatic now. Um, so yeah, this has been what a fantastic pack. Truly, one of my favorites. If you guys are still new to modded Minecraft, I wouldn't expect anyone to be watching this channel who would be new to modded Minecraft, but if you are, uh, Antimatter Chemistry is an amazing first pack to play as an entry-level tech pack. It's really safe, you don't really have to worry about monsters at all, and you can get resources pretty easily. You can automate them pretty early. I do have to say the beginning of the game is a little bit of a hefty grind, but that's all right. It's not too bad. There's lots of tools to help you get started pretty early on. XNet is a very powerful logistics mod that can really do a lot of work, and you'll be using it for pretty much the entire playthrough. This base runs on XNet, and it's extremely power efficient for the kinds of things it can do. So, yeah, I think that's probably about it. That's all I've got. I've been rambling for almost 40 minutes at this point. Um, but we're done. We're finally done. We did it. We're so done. We're done. I'm so happy. 380 hours. I tell you what, though, it is 380 hours well spent. This was never a race, even though it is 100 hours more than the last AMC run. This was never a race. It was never about trying to beat AMC and quicker than I did before. It was about building a base better than I did before, and that costs time. But you know what? That was 300 hours well spent. I am more than happy to have spent this time in this pack. It has been an absolute blast. Um, but everything comes to an end. And while this base will live on as probably my favorite so far, it's going to be a very, very hard base to top, which I'm kind of scared about. I don't know how I'm going to top this base. It's amazing. Um, but we'll see. That's part of the challenge as well, right? New challenges. We're gonna see if I can build a better base. I don't know if I'll build like a better quote unquote base, but I'm gonna build a different base. This was very organic in nature, obviously. And the next one's gonna be a lot more industrial, and I hope I'm gonna like that. I really did like the green of this base. So we'll have to see how that turns out. I still have to do a bunch of design for Ocean Block 2, which I'm sure will be a lot of fun. It's a more modern version of Minecraft, so it probably has a lot more building tools available to me than something like this does, at least in terms of block palettes. Um, oh, I forgot. I forgot a few. You know what? Here, we can fix this before we go. There we go. All right. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this series. And I hope you guys, uh, I hope you guys have had a good week, and I hope you guys have a good upcoming week. And I suppose I will see you all again at some point in the future. Probably next week. Probably maybe next week. Probably not. Even if I start Ocean Block 2 tomorrow, I'm sure it would take me somewhere else to have like a progress log for you or anything. But we'll see. Maybe I'll get really excited about a base design and I'll do another creative test world show off like I did for this one. I had AMC Progress Log 0. So I will see you all when I see you, and I hope you all have a good time until then.